China built the largest high-speed rail network on Earth in just a few decades. Japan has had bullet trains since the 1960s. Europe connects cities across borders by train every day. But the United States, one of the richest countries in the world, has almost no true high-speed rail. So why did trains become the future in some places and almost disappear in America? Welcome to GeoSpective, where geography explains everything. This is not just a train story. It's a geography story. Because rail works best when cities are close enough, dense enough, and connected enough. And different parts of the world built very different transportation systems. Europe built around old cities. Japan built around crowded corridors. China built for massive urban expansion. And America built for cars, highways, and planes. So let's break down why. The modern high-speed rail era began in Japan. In 1964, just before the Tokyo Olympics, Japan opened the first Shinkansen line between Tokyo and Osaka. That route was perfect for high-speed rail. Tokyo, Nagoya, Kyoto, and Osaka are all lined up along one extremely dense corridor. Millions of people needed to move between them constantly. And Japan had limited space for endless highways. So instead of spreading transportation outward, Japan built speed and capacity into rail. The Shinkansen became famous for being fast, frequent, clean, and reliable. And it proved something important. High-speed trains work best when they connect dense cities that are not too far apart. Not every route needs a train. But the right route can change an entire country. Europe is almost perfect for passenger rail. Why? Because Europe's cities are dense, old, and relatively close together. Paris to Brussels. Madrid to Barcelona. Rome to Milan. London to Paris. Berlin to Hamburg. These are distances where trains make sense. Too long for a comfortable daily drive. Too short for flying to feel efficient once you include airport security, boarding, delays, and travel from airport to city center. And European cities existed long before cars. That matters. Their centers were built around walking, stations, streets, and public transport. Not giant parking lots and highways. So when high-speed rail arrived, it didn't need to invent demand from nothing. The demand was already there. People already moved between dense city centers. The train just made that faster. Then there's China. China took high-speed rail to another level. By the end of 2024, China's high-speed rail network reached about 48,000 kilometers, the longest in the world. That is not just a rail network. That is a national transformation project. China had several advantages. First, huge population. Second, extremely fast urbanization. Third, strong central planning. Fourth, massive government investment. China wasn't just connecting old cities. It was shaping the future of new ones. High-speed rail helped link megacities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Wuhan, Chengdu, Nanjing, Hangzhou, and many smaller cities suddenly became much more connected. A place that once felt far away could become part of a larger economic region. That's powerful. High-speed rail in China isn't just transport. It's development strategy. Now compare that to the United States. America is huge. Very huge. New York to Los Angeles is almost 4,000 kilometers. That's not a train corridor. That's a flight corridor. And unlike Europe, many American cities are much farther apart. Some routes could work. But a national high-speed rail system like China's or Europe's is much harder. The geography is different. The population pattern is different. The urban design is different. America has many large cities, but they are often spread across enormous distances. And between them, suburbs, highways, low-density land. That makes rail harder. Because trains need passengers. Not just once a day. Constantly. The biggest reason America doesn't have high-speed rail is simple. America built a car country. After World War II, the United States invested massively in highways. Suburbs expanded. Gas was relatively cheap. Cars became symbols of freedom. And cities were redesigned around driving. Shopping malls. Parking lots. Interstates. Drive-thrus. Low-density suburbs. This changed everything. In Europe and Japan, a train station often drops you directly into a dense city center. In many American cities, arriving by train can still leave you needing a car. That weakens the entire system. Because high-speed rail doesn't work alone. It works when the destination is also connected. For long-distance travel, America chose planes. And honestly, that makes sense for many routes. Los Angeles to New York? Flying winds. Seattle to Miami? Flying winds. Chicago to Phoenix? Flying winds. The country is too large for trains to dominate every major route. But here's the important part. That doesn't explain everything. Because America does have corridors where high-speed rail could make sense. New York to Washington. Los Angeles to San Francisco. Dallas to Houston. Chicago to Detroit. Portland to Seattle to Vancouver. These are not impossible routes. They're exactly the kind of corridors where trains could compete with cars and planes. So why hasn't it happened? This is where things get messy. Building high-speed rail in the United States is extremely expensive. You need land. You need rights of way. You need environmental reviews. You need tunnels, bridges, stations, electrification, and political support. And in America, land ownership is complicated. Private property rights are strong. Local opposition can delay projects for years. Every city, county, and state may have different priorities. China can build fast because the government can coordinate massive projects at national scale. Europe often builds within stronger public transport cultures. Japan builds in dense corridors with intense demand. America has to build through a political system where every mile can become a fight. The closest thing America has to high-speed rail is Amtrak's Acela in the Northeast Corridor. It connects Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. This is America's best rail corridor because the cities are dense and close together. Amtrak describes Acela as America's only high-speed rail service, with speeds up to 160 miles per hour. But compared to China, Japan, or parts of Europe, it's limited. Why? Because much of the corridor uses older infrastructure. Curves. Shared tracks. Congestion. A true high-speed system usually needs dedicated, modern track. And America has very little of that. California is trying to build one of America's most ambitious high-speed rail projects. The idea is simple. Connect Los Angeles and San Francisco. That route makes sense on paper. Huge population. Heavy travel demand. Expensive flights. Congested highways. But the project has faced massive challenges. Costs increased. Timelines slipped. Land acquisition became difficult. Political support shifted. And critics started using it as proof that America can't build trains. But California also shows the bigger truth. High-speed rail is not just about technology. America has the engineering knowledge. The real challenge is building at scale, through politics, cost, land, and time. Europe still has problems too. High-speed rail is not equally good everywhere. Some countries have excellent networks. Others are still catching up. But the European Union is actively pushing for faster cross-border rail connections, including improved routes like Berlin to Copenhagen and Paris to Lisbon via Madrid. That matters because Europe is trying to make trains compete with short-haul flights. For trips between major cities, the train can be faster door-to-door. You leave from the city center. You arrive in the city center. No airport far outside town. No long security line. No boarding chaos. That's where trains win. China's rail boom also shows what happens when geography, population, and policy line up. China has huge city clusters. The Yangtze River Delta, the Pearl River Delta, the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region. These are massive urban regions with tens of millions of people. High-speed rail connects them like a nervous system. It shortens travel time. It spreads economic growth. It links labor markets. It reduces pressure on airports. And it helps smaller cities plug into bigger economies. That's why China keeps building. By 2030, China plans to expand high-speed rail to around 60,000 kilometers. So why doesn't America just copy them? Because copying the train is easy. Copying the conditions is hard. America doesn't have China's planning system. It doesn't have Japan's density. It doesn't have Europe's city spacing and rail culture in most regions. It has massive distances, car-centered cities, suburban sprawl, cheap domestic flights, political fragmentation, high construction costs, and a population that often expects door-to-door car travel. That doesn't mean high-speed rail is impossible in America. It means it only makes sense in specific corridors. If America ever builds serious high-speed rail, it probably won't start everywhere. It will start in corridors. The Northeast Corridor, California, Texas Triangle, Pacific Northwest, Florida, parts of the Midwest. These areas have enough people and city pairs close enough to make rail competitive. America doesn't need a high-speed train from New York to Los Angeles. It needs fast trains where fast trains actually make sense. That's the key. Different geography, different choices, different results. And now I'm curious. Would you use high-speed rail if your country had it? Or would you still choose cars and planes? Let me know in the comments. This is GeoSpective, where geography explains everything.